Miami Beach Pride gay attackers plead guilty today in a surprise hearing.
Seems like they wanted to kill, because if you see the video how they were beating us up, it was several people. They were beating me alone first, then they were beating alone him.
Dimitri says he is horrified by this attack captured on camera Sunday night shortly after the annual Pride parade ended.
I'm feeling much better than my boyfriend, but I was shocked. I had a panic attack.
Police say these four men took part in the assault on Dimitri and Rene as they were leaving a public restroom at Fifth Street and Ocean Drive. Their faces were bruised, their lips were cut, and their bodies were battered.
Oh, it's very painful. I don't know. It's still people thinking like that, thinking about to hit another people because they're gay or because they're black or because they're white or not supposed to be like that.
They were jumped without warning.
We were coming out from the bathroom. We were coming home and this guy punched him right away, and then another guy started to hitting us, and the other guy also everybody was hitting us. He fell on the floor and they started to hitting me and pushing me, and they escaped.
In April 2018, there was a violent attack on two gay men who were attending Miami Beach Pride's 10th anniversary celebration. The four men were Juan Carlos Lopez, 26, Luis Manuel Alonso-Piovet, 25, Adonis David Diaz, 26, and Pablo Reinaldo Romo-Figueroa, 26. The case has been extremely controversial on the lack of speed to have its day in court. There have been countless starts and stops while local, national, and international newses and agencies report on the process being carried, including Queer News Tonight. Today, that all came to an end in a surprise hearing. They all pled guilty as part of a plea deal, just as jury selection was to begin. In 2018, Ernesto Rodriguez of the Miami Beach Police Department said police were investigating the incident as a possible hate crime through a final decision on whether to pursue enhanced penalties, and would they be, and that decision would be made by Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office. The victims were Rene, Chalarca, and Dimitri Lugonov, and they said that the attackers yelled Maricon, an offensive Spanish word for homosexuals, before hitting them several times. A bystander who saw the attack and then tried to intervene was pushed to the ground and suffered a cut to the back of his head. They were attacked by the men after they shared a hug while waiting to use a restroom at Loomis Park in the 500 block of Ocean Drive. The defendants claimed a stand-your-ground self-defense that went on for several years, and that was thrown out of court just this spring. This afternoon, all four defendants pled guilty to assault with prejudice on religious or institutional grounds, a misdemeanor. They could have faced 15 years in prison. Instead, the court is withholding adjudication and sentencing them to 5 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, anger management, mental and substance abuse evaluations, and any recommended treatments. The court order requires they must stay away from the victims, and Diaz was also sentenced to 37 days in jail, which he has already served. A statement was read from the victims to the defendants in the courtroom this afternoon, and it said, quote, "It's been almost 5 years, almost half of my time living in the United States. I'm dealing with the fear of being myself, the reason I left my home country," end quote. Queer News Tonight sourced much of tonight's story on reporting from our anchor, John Hayden. Well, one of the things that surprises me, the reason why we included the police comment about hate crime, is in today's discussion and the plea acceptance and the sentencing, there is almost no mention of gay at all. So basically, the issues of this being a gay hate crime, I don't believe have been implemented in any way. That's disappointing. But at the end of the day, we are happy that this is closed and finally some justice in terms of what the conclusion was going to be has happened.
After almost 5 years.
Why did it take so long?
Right?
Was this just money, or was just like good lawyers? Like, what was it? Why did it take so long?
I don't know why it took so long, but for me, the hate crime enhancements are very clear, right? That they were taken into full consideration when the verdict is read, and it said that it's because of the prejudice. That is the hate crime enhancement. And so it is there. It is very clear that it's there. And I think that,
And you were satisfied with that.
To me, my satisfaction comes because Rene and Dimitri are satisfied, the victims of the scenario, right? My satisfaction isn't determined by anything that I, personally feel in any kind of a way. For me, it's about the victims, centering the victims and how they feel and the closure that they need in this scenario. Most importantly, I think, is the healing that needs to happen for everybody involved. For the victims, this is a long journey in trauma. You heard his quote talking about how his anxiety that he's had, the incredible amount of stress that he has endured. This has been tough for everyone. And I think that for the victims, especially centering the victims in this narrative is the most important thing, is that in this moment, they got to say, we are agreeing to this plea. So it was in their hands.
They say in the story that somebody overheard them say Maricon, right? Okay, which in a lot of cultures is just like saying bitch or just saying like, hey, bro. Okay, was that the only hateful thing that was said? And was that the premise as to why it was going to be charged as a hate crime, because someone heard them say Maricon?
Well, I think that any time that you're looking for evidence to add the hate crimes enhancements is that you're looking for any evidence in which derogatory and prejudiced terms are being used, right? So you have them kissing, you have the term maricon used, you have all of these components that sort of add up. During Pride, right, you have all of these components that add up. And so again, centering the victims, the fact that they are satisfied with the plea deal is the most important thing.
Yeah. This case brings me back to my time serving the LGBT community, especially immigrants who are seeking asylum. And we would use any kind of evidence to show animus against this couple. And what breaks my heart is that in making these cases together, we would bring evidence of similar attacks to them in their home countries. And the fact that they're experiencing here, a place that's supposed to be a safe haven and a refuge, breaks my heart. So finally, we find some resolution today.
So they basically pled guilty because they didn't want to be in jail for 12 years.
Well,
but they didn't want to go to trial with this, and the possibility of going to jail for 12 years.
The timing was that it was clear there's going to be a jury trial, and so they have done this plea deal right prior to the beginning of selection of jury. I agree with Orlando that the issue of the two gentlemen that were attacked are really tantamount. That's the most important issue. For me, and I'm talking, it seems to me, I'm talking about race issues all the time now. I feel like I'm talking about it a lot. And I sit in a privileged white gay male bucket. And it is becoming clearer and clearer to me what the other buckets that are in our community face. And that's what slaps me in the face today, is even almost 5 years later, you can hear the angst and the harm and the fear in their statement. Even it's 5 years later, and it's not, we're done with this, we're glad it's being closed, we're shame on you for what you did. It's all about the pain of what they are going through, and it brings them back to their country. That is an issue. I agree with both of the observations of we've got to do better in our community in terms of what we're doing with race. We just have to do better. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out television network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.